Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Dan Hendriksen here. We have a video for you today which is a real golf series video. I have had a number of people requesting some information on the way in which Paul plays his chip shots around the green. Now, lots of you have been told over the years to make sure you use lower lofted clubs and get that ball running as quickly as you can. Well, Paul and lots of other tour players use a slightly different method. They use more loft. So I thought we'd get Paul over here today, up here at St Melian, to just show us what he does when he plays his little chip shots around the green. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing from these videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got lots of content coming your way. But for now, let's go and catch up with Paul and figure out what's going on with this little chip shot. Right, Paul's coming on to a, well, it's definitely, this green is pitched from back all the way down this slope to the front part. So Paul's got to be landing it around here and then let it feed in. Little 52, I think he's thrown it a bit far. In. Oh! What did I tell you? What did I say? What did I say?
That's in my bunker.
Well, Paul, welcome to St Melian.
Thank you.
Which is actually your home course, but we're over here on the old 15th hole, aren't we? So it's a lot quieter out here. They're not using this hole, they use it as a spare hole. Yeah. So a big thank you to St Melian. So just tell us a little bit about the sort of chipping technique that you use and what we see a lot on TV, because there's a lot of players out there that do use a similar method to what you use, which is maybe not textbook as such, as what you've been told so many times to do. But so talk us through your chipping sort of action then and clubs that you use.
I tend to use my 58, 52 and my pitching wedge, which is a 46 Vokey. Yeah. I don't tend to go 8, 9, 7 iron. I personally find them too powerful. Okay. And they come off, I don't seem to be able to get control of them very well because they're coming off the face quite quick. So I much prefer chipping with a wedge. I do tend to de-loft it quite a bit anyway when I play them, so if I then start pulling out an 8 or 7 iron, it's coming in so low that it's, you know, you may as well just get your putter out. It's that sort of theory.
And I mean, if you think about some of the manufacturers out there that are producing some of the, even the game improvement irons, I mean, they're hot off the face, aren't they? Yeah. You know, the companies are working so hard to give us more ball speed for off-centered strikes, but then do we lose a little bit of feel when we kind of go through that?
I massively, yeah. I mean, I've even got a bladed 8 and 9 iron, and I still feel that you don't get the same amount of feel that you do with an actual wedge, like a Vokey, which is a specialist wedge, and I feel that the feel of those is so much better than even a blade. So if you went to a game improvement club, then I would find that a real struggle to try and get any control over that.
And when you're out competing and playing against some of the best players, you know, in the country, are you seeing similar sort of things? Do you see a lot of players going down the line of using 7 irons and things, or is it
you don't see it much. No. You don't see it much, and I'm a believer if you can get a putter on it and do that. And I see a lot of people chipping with a 7 iron from an area where you would maybe use a putter, and I think, you know, I would definitely take the putter over that. But I think when you start coming a bit further away from the green and you're not on the fringe, let's say, then you're going to get iffy lies in the rough and the longer grass, and I think then that's when you need more loft because you need more speed through the shot. Okay. So, but when it comes to chip and run, I don't tend to go more than a pitching wedge, really. Right.
So just show us then what you're doing when you're playing these types of shots. Then what's your kind of setup like, and how are you? So we've got a shot down here. Probably it's only, what is it, about probably 15? Oh, it's probably about 20 paces, something like that, down towards that hole, so probably about 35, 40 feet. Yeah. So you've got the pitching wedge out.
Yes.
And what do you do then with your setup?
So I always use a putting grip.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, okay, so I use a putting grip. So it's just a reverse. It's not actually my putting grip, but it's just a standard putting grip. Yeah. So it's a reverse overlap. Yeah. Gains me a lot more control, tightens up my wrists, so I've got less wrist action going on. Okay. So that's why I use that. I then grip down the club, and then I'm putting my weight probably 70% forward, roughly somewhere there. So there's more forward than on my back foot. Yeah. And then from there, the ball position is probably coming back towards my back foot as well. And then the club handle or grip, I tend to put that ahead of the ball. What that creates is then you're getting golf ball first. You're eradicating any of this area behind, which is I see a lot of handicapped golfers are catching this part of the ground first before the ball. So the more you go to the left with your weight and your hand positions, the more you're going to take out that.
Okay, so you're looking to make sure you hit ball then ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
So ball then divot as such, as the saying goes.
Absolutely.
So, and then handle press forward again. That just takes the loft off the club, doesn't it?
Yep.
So trying to maintain that strong loft on the wedge.
And that's why if I was using a 7-iron from here, it would be so powerful and so lacking in loft that I'd struggle to control it.
So you'd have to move ball position. We'll talk about that in a moment, because I'll come back to that in a minute. But so handle goes forward, ball position goes back, and then you kind of use like a bit of a putting stroke. It's just
a long putting stroke. Really.
Yeah, long putting stroke, just rocking the shoulders.
Yeah, it's try and keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, nice, easy.
And you can see, I mean, I don't know if you saw that one land, but they're not going a long way onto the green. So, you know, if I was using anything less lofted, it would only just be clearing this fringe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you're landing that probably 3, maybe 4 paces onto the green.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Got one. Very good. So I'm going to go more traditional with this one. I've got the 7-iron in my hand, and when we talked about Paul's ball position being a little bit further back, handle further forward, obviously with a pitching wedge in his hand, he's taking lots and lots of loft off the club, which is kind of something that he's just kind of worked on. Now, the problem is what Paul's saying is if you take a 7-iron and you pop that ball position back in the stance, leaning the handle forward, well, when you're kind of starting off with around sort of 34 or 33 degrees of loft at address, and then you push the handle forward, you're now bringing that club more in line with more like a 5-iron or something along those sort of lines from a loft point of view. So what Paul said he was struggling with there is it comes out very hot, very kind of shooting forward. So what you might find that you might want to do when you get a 7-iron in your hand, if you're used to chipping with a 7-iron, is not have that ball position quite as far back. So having it more into the center of the stance, still kind of keep that handle just a little bit further forward, but using the kind of same technique as what Paul said, which is it's more of a putting technique. So here I've got, as Paul said, about 70% of the weight on my lead side, so on my left leg for me. And then I'm just literally going to grip it just like Paul has with the putting grip. And that enables me to sort of think more around the putting stroke there. So ball position just that little bit further forward, which enables me to deliver that little bit more loft on the club and just accelerate through from there. And with that shot, it's definitely coming out a lot lower than what Paul's was initially. And my landing position is just a little bit shorter, which if you think about throwing a ball, it's a lot easier to throw a ball to a target that's closer to you than it is to throw it a little bit further away. So this is the kind of reason why you might find from a textbook point of view that players would want to see you using more of a 7-iron or a lower lofted club. But if you're going to go down that line, you need to make sure that your setup is absolutely spot on with these clubs to maintain the loft that you need for them. So do you advise this to then players, or do you think this is a higher skilled shot? What's your sort of thoughts on this?
I think it's personal preference. I think everyone will play them slightly differently. So not as many people have their weight as far forward as I do, and they're not as de-lofting it as I do. So if that is the case, if that's your case, then you can use an 8 or 9-iron. But I think the key with it is to practice it a lot and get very familiar. I think sometimes if you're changing, if you're using a pitching wedge 7, 8, 9, 6-iron, let's say, that's a lot of different clubs and a lot of different feels coming off those clubs and a lot of different trajectories and speeds, etc. So sometimes if you're just familiar with one club, you know how to control that more because you're able to practice that club more. I think sometimes if you've thrown in too many clubs into your chipping, you will then start putting different feels in, and it just starts getting complicated. So sometimes by using one club, let's say a pitching wedge like I do for chip and runs, then I think it's you're taking some of the changeability out of the shot.
Always good to catch up with Paul, find out the reasons why he uses the clubs that he uses when he's playing these little delicate shots around the green. But I think the message there from what Paul was saying there was, you know, use your putter, get good obviously off the edge of the green with your putter, so don't be afraid to use the putter as much as you can, but find a club that works for you. So get really, really good, and it might be your pitching wedge, it might be your sand wedge, it might be your 7-iron, but get really good with one club and then start working on different clubs to bring in once you feel like you've really zoned in with that one club. But I'd like to hear what you think about that. Put your comments down below. Are you someone that uses one club, sticks with that club, goes with it? Or are you someone that likes to work your way through your different wedges up to sort of 7-irons, even 5-irons in your bag? Put your comments down below. Don't forget, if you are new to the channel and you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you all again very soon.